So doing tuna salad again, and this time we're doing 2 sets of them. We have 2 of the 66.5-ounce net weight cans of tuna. Going to do 2 batches. We have 130 grams of chopped onions and 150 grams of chopped celery. Going to put that in each can of them, and in one can we'll do Miracle Whip and the other one we'll just leave dry. And I'm going to add some salt and pepper. Okay, got that drained. I'm just going to dump the tuna in there. Just give that a quick stir. One batch I'm going to have Miracle Whip in it, and the other batch is just going to be like this. I figured that way we can use it for tuna salad, or we could even use it in tuna casseroles and things. I'm going to try putting 4 ounces in each one of these, or maybe go for about 100 grams. I'm not sure what my best bet is on this. So I'm going to go for about 4 ounces, so then it'll be a little bit bigger. So 4 ounces. Then I'll just re-zero it for each one of these and keep adding 4 ounces per hole. Now, this will go in the freezer for pre-freezing, and we'll finish up these other ones kind of the same way, or we'll use the 1-pound pans. We'll try them both ways. My thought was this could be used for tuna casseroles, tuna helper. On the way to the freezer for pre-freezing these, and then we'll get the other can going. Well, we'll finish this little bit. Get a 1/2 pound on each side. One side will have Miracle Whip, the other side will not. Same thing, 130 grams of onions, 150 grams of celery. And any amount would be fine. I'm using this amount because basically this is what we had. Just some plain salt and pepper. And then the can of tuna. Before I mix it, I'm going to add Miracle Whip and mustard because I only want to mix it up once. Again, I'm not going to worry about the exact amounts. Make it the way you like it. And it will probably still be a light amount when this is done. It will need more Miracle Whip. So usually, if I'm making tuna salad sandwiches right now, I would add at least that much Miracle Whip, and then I would put it on the bread too. So we're going to stop here and pre-freeze it for the freeze drying. This way we'll have it both ways at the same time from the same batches, or from 2 simultaneous batches basically, so we can compare them over the next couple of years. I'll save out a couple of bags because most of these will be used up in the next 6 months or a year or something for lunches. Go 8 ounces on this side. Just barely over 8 ounces, so that's the plan. And I still have this container, this mold, so I'll use this for part of them also. Let's try this. So to 4 ounces and get it into there. That's not a great plan. That's too big. Let's try this one. So we want 4 ounces. Okay, so just over 4 ounces. And we'll just kind of pat it down. Now the ones with Miracle Whip and mustard will go into the freezer for pre-freezing. So these are the ones that we did without the Miracle Whip. So we'll pop these out of these, I hope, and we'll put them into a big Ziploc until it's their turn for freeze drying. So hopefully they'll come out fine. Oh yeah, that's great. And then we have the half pan one also. We'll get that. This is the side that's Miracle Whip, and then the side without. Oh, that just comes right out. Yeah. But those will go in the freezer until it's their turn. Let's go ahead and get the ones with the Miracle Whip in the bags. So there's the half-pound piece, and then these, each one of these are 4 ounces. And these are deeper. Oh, that's not bad. They came out pretty well. These are considerably thicker, so those are going to probably take a while to freeze dry. These will wait in the freezer for their turn in the freeze dryer. It's July 20th. We're getting the tuna salad into the freeze dryer. Freeze dryer has been running for almost 3 hours already because I got it started and then got sidetracked. What's new? Okay, tray 1. And I had these in the freezer to get them nice and chilled. We have the tuna salad mix with the Miracle Whip. So I need half of it on each of the 2 trays. Well, there's 6 and then this extra little block. I'm going to just leave lots of space between them, so I could put more on there, but that's what I'm going to do. Then we'll get the weight on that, $16.79. And tray 2. Well, that is going to be a very light batch. Well, I didn't plan ahead for it, so I'm still going to keep it this way. So tray 1 and 2 are the ones with Miracle Whip, $14.38. So these are the ones that don't have any Miracle Whip in them. So this is what they should have. I should have used this size mold for all of them, but I only had one of those and I didn't plan ahead. $15.36. $15.49. Let's get these moved over to the freeze dryer. So you can see these are quite a bit thicker. And so that's going to make a difference in the freeze drying. These are going to take longer because it's got to wait till the heat goes through there. Get those in there. And we'll start at the bottom. And I noticed that the new trays, or the information for the new freeze dryers, they added another shelf in each one of them and put less space between them. I think that's going to be a better thing for freeze drying because then this heater above it is going to be closer to the food. So the total amount that you're going to fit in it is still should be similar, but I think it's going to do a better job. I'm kind of guessing, but I think it's going to do a better job of freeze drying because you're going to have a closer spacing between the shelves, and so the heater, because there's a heater underneath and then there's a heater above it, you get them closer, it should do a better job of that heat transfer. So that'll be interesting. I wouldn't mind changing out mine. I don't know what it would take to do it, but I might look into that. Okay, this will be about 2 days. It's in the evening right now. It's about 7 o'clock in the evening. There's no way it's going to be done in, I don't think there's any way that it'll be done in less than 24 hours. So it'll be 2 days. So we'll see as soon as it's done, we'll be back and check it. If you've been watching me freeze dry for any length of time now, you know that I really suck when it comes to being here to take them out when it says it's finished. According to the machine, I should have been here to check it about 14 and a half hours ago. That was at 1 in the morning. I didn't do it. So now I'm going to get them out and check them and then put them back in for the weight check. So the machine has been running the whole time, but not the vacuum. I let that just stop and then I restarted it and the whole machine about an hour ago so that it would rewarm so that I could take them out without any danger of condensation on the trays. So now we'll bypass the last of this rewarming time and get them out and check them. Bypass the rest of the time. We'll open the drain valve. And as soon as the pressure's equalized, we'll be able to open the door. Now on this one, I didn't put any thermometers in the food, which is why I left it going for so long to rewarm it, because I had no idea what temperature the food was. Of course, it will tell me the tray temperature or the shelf temperature, but that does nothing to tell me what temperature the food is. Okay, so tray 1, and we have 1022. I hadn't put thermometers in them, like I said, so now I'm going to see if I can put one in. These are the ones that had Miracle Whip, and so they're staying together pretty nicely. And they might have ice in it still. I don't know, I hit something solid. And then tray 2, 947. It dropped down to 6, so I'm going to put a little minus sign so I'll know that it was dropping between two numbers. Now I'll put those back in and I'll switch the positions. I'll put tray 2 on the top and tray 1 down a spot. Okay, the thermometer that I just put in there, it is dropping. It's saying about 52 now and still dropping. Tray 3, 914, and tray 4, 927. Okay, and those look beautiful. And these are going to break apart easily. That will go back up. Tray 4 will go up a spot. And tray 3 will come down a spot. I'm going to go ahead and add an additional thermometer. Okay, let's get that closed up. And with the drain valve closed, I'm going to restart it. So more dry time. Close the drain valve, did. Continue. And it'll tell me that my vacuum pump still needs cooling, which is really handy if you don't have a fan on it, so you know that it's cooler. I do have a fan on it. I just press the little clock to bypass it. Now, I'm adding another hour, so 3¼ hours. So I put a total of 3¼ hours on there. That way, if I'm available, I can check it in 2 hours, but it gives me an 1¼ hour leeway. And since on this model, the heaters will turn off for the last ¼ hour, then I know that they're going to be heated for drying for at least 2 hours, or at least all but the last 15 minutes. So we'll come back and check it in 2 or 3 hours. So don't go away, it'll be just a second. It's been just over 2 hours, about 2 hours and 10 minutes, and I'm back to check it. The block that I tried to put the thermometer in and it went clunk, and then the temperature started dropping, are only up to 70 and 80 degrees right now. Generally, the freeze drying is never finished before the thermometers that I've stuck into the food get up to a similar temperature as the tray temperature, which is 120 degrees. You can freeze dry things at a lower temperature. It just takes a lot longer. But since this is set for that higher temperature, it really should have been up there. But as I'd mentioned before, the little pucks of tuna salad on those two trays, I'd use the smaller mold for, so they're thicker. That wasn't a great idea. You should never put them that thick. In general, I try not to go taller than the tray, but to get 10 pounds, I often do go taller than the tray, and it does take longer. So I suspect those two trays are not done. The other two may be done, and if they are, we could pull those out and bag them. I'm reluctant to take them out at all because I'm convinced those two will not have been done yet. But we're going to go ahead and take them out and check them, and if they've lost weight, we'll put them back in. So let's do it. So first, I'll bypass the rest of that time. Then we'll open the drain valve. And we'll see what they did. Okay, tray one. It's nice and toasty on the tray itself. And it did lose weight. It dropped 6 grams. So I'm going to use this number as the new starting weight. So after 2 hours, we're down to 1017, and it was dropping 1017. So it's not done. I mean, that's the bottom line. I'm going to go ahead and just put that right back in. And tray 2. And that's also lost weight. That's 944 now. And I'll put that one in the same spot again also. Now, these two, tray 3 and 4, I would not be surprised if they're finished. Nope, that lost a small amount, so 913, so it's down by 1. But since the others have to go in, I'm going to go ahead and leave these in. And tray 4. And that dropped also 4.5, 5 grams. So that's going back in also. Yep, let's get that in there and get that closed. It wasn't finished, and that's what I get for not adding extra time last night when I could have. I knew it was going to be finished about 1 o'clock, and I could have added a bunch more time right then, because I also knew that I wouldn't be checking it for at least 8 or 10 hours. I should have added more time, and I chose not to. Bad choice, and now it's late in the evening on the next day. So we'll get this one done, but we'll come back in another couple hours. Hopefully it's actually dry now. We'll find out in a couple hours, so we'll be right back. But first, we need to add more time. Already closed the drain valve. I'll add more dry time. And it reminds me to close the drain valve, and I did. Continue and go. Well, I wish I'd done this earlier so that it would be done already, but I forgot. We'll see you in just a second, or 2 or 3 hours. I'm back, and it's been a whole lot of time. The timer on my machine says 69.25 hours. But I also put this little post-it note of 41 hours. That's how long it's actually been processing, including all of the extra dry times and things like that. The rest of the time to make it to the 69.25 is while it's sitting here with the cooling system running, but not the vacuum pump, and waiting for me to finally come down and check it. Well, I finally came down to check it. So let's get them out to make sure that they were dry and that we can bag them. If they lost any weight, we'll put them back in, but it only has had 41 hours of dry time maximum, not 69.25. So let's get them out and check them. So I'm going to bypass the rest of the time with the down arrow and open the drain valve. Okay, tray 1. It lost a lot. So I'm going to erase the previous dry check weights and use this as the dry check weight amount. So I'm going to put this in there for a minute, keep it cool while we get these erased. And I'm erasing them because I didn't make provisions for what if they're that big of a difference. Because the way I do it is if I think that there could be still wet, then I don't even start the dry check. So I only start the dry check when I'm really sure that it's already done. Well, I didn't have the thermometer in there the first time yesterday, so I couldn't tell that they were still cold inside. The machine said they weren't. The feel of it said they weren't. If you had used a thermal camera it would have said they're toasty warm because you still can't see to the center of it. If you let it set for a while, I suppose, then the cold would show up through it, but otherwise it was warm on all of the surfaces. 994. And it is going up to the next number, so it's right on the edge. I'm going to put a little plus symbol in case it shows 995 later, that I'm not surprised. Okay, tray 2. 930. Yeah, these are down significantly. I'm going to switch these two again, because this one's had hours on that tray spot. Now we'll put these with a bunch of hours on that one. Okay, tray 3, and I'll switch these two also. 912. And that one might have been okay. I'm going to go ahead and switch that right now. And 921, and I'll put a little minus sign because it was dropping. But even that one has dropped more weight.
Taxi!
So at this point, they're almost assuredly dry, but we're still going to do another round of time to make sure that the dry check has a chance to prove that they're dry. If you would have just gone by feel, you would have said they were done a long time ago, because all of the surfaces were toasty warm. And since I want to freeze dry them in those pucks, I didn't want to crumble the ones with the Miracle Whip. I didn't want to crumble those apart, because that way I can put a couple of them in a bag and pull out just one of them at a time to use them. Well, if I crumble them, of course, then I'd have to measure them or weigh them or do 2 pieces at a time. Anyway, so I wanted to keep them as discrete pucks, which means I can't get to the center, but the thermometer is in the center. So it gives me information that I can't get from the external surfaces. And that's the same with weighing it. It gives me information that I can't get by looking or touching or feeling from the outside. We'll get them restarted. So close the drain valve. Okay, and with the drain valve closed, I'm going to add more dry time. I did close it and restart. I set it for 3¼ hours. That way, anytime after 2 hours, I can check it, and I've got an 1¼ hour leeway of getting to it. So we'll be right back. So I'm back again. We've given it those hours. In fact, I added an extra hour. So now we're going to get it out again and check it and make sure that it's dry. So bypass the rest of the time using the down arrow. Open the drain valve. Okay, and we'll get them checked. So tray 1. All right, no change. And that's the only answer we want, is no change for the weight. If it's gone down, it needs to go in again. Oh, and make sure that the fan isn't blowing it. We have no change. Looks good. And no change. And these last two without the Miracle Whip, I wouldn't have expected there to be any change because they're thinner. It's the thickness that caused the problem. Okay, and no change. All right, we'll shut it off with no defrost. And I'm going to get these moved away, and we'll get the time and power usage real quick. So we'll come back in just a second. This batch really illustrates the reason why I like thermometers in the food. I didn't put thermometers in the tuna, and I had the thick pucks of tuna. So the problem was, it was going to be finished at 1 in the morning a couple days ago, and I didn't want to stay up and check it. So I'd added a couple hours, but I had no idea what the temperature was. So the problem with that was that when I did check it the next day and then tried to stick a thermometer in it, it couldn't go because there was still ice inside. Well, I would have known that ahead of time if I'd had a thermometer in it. So instead of adding the couple hours that I added the 2 nights ago, I would have known that there was ice inside that block, and I would have added a lot more hours because I know that it wouldn't have been done yet. Anyway, by not having a thermometer, I had to restart it and do the dry check 3 times. I would have probably only had to do it once if I had had the thermometers in there, so I would have known that there was ice inside. So I still screw up after this many batches. I mean, I'm not messing up, I'm not screwing up the food because I still kept going until I knew it was dry, until it didn't lose any more weight. But if I had just counted on it to begin with, and the machine said it was done, and it felt warm on the outside, and since I didn't want to break those pucks up, I might have bagged those. They weren't done. They still had 4 or 5 grams per puck. That would be a bad thing. Okay, we'll get this defrosting. So put my little shield in there, and we'll get this fan into place. And as soon as we're moved out of the way, I can get this started. And that was a very light batch, really. It won't take all that long to defrost it. The total freeze-dry time with that batch was about 43 hours of machine time. It probably would have been faster if I had realized that there was still ice in it and given it more time at the beginning, or at that time before I did the first weight check. Thermometers can be your best friend with freeze-drying because they give you information that you don't get another way. The time on the machine is almost 74 hours. And again, that's like 30 hours of waiting for me because the real time should be around 43 hours, and that's what I'm going to write down. So in the future, if I do pucks this way, I'll know that it's going to be somewhere around 42, 43 hours for this kind of thing. And even by that, I mean plus or minus 20%. It's a huge range on every batch, even if they seem to be identical. So I used 38.38 kilowatt hours on that batch. It would have been far, far less than that if I had been on top of it and done it the right way. We'll reset that and get it ready for the next batch. We'll go get the final weights and get them bagged. On future ones, I need to make sure that I get a thermometer in there, even if I have to drill it. It was a bad idea to do these without a thermometer. That cost me a lot of time. Okay, looks really good. Now we'll get the final weights of these without the thermometers in and find out what they weigh per, well, that was 8 ounces. These are each 4 ounces. Yeah, so 2, 4, 6. So we can divide that by 8, and that'll give us an amount per 4 ounces. The plan with these are to bag these in these little teeny bags, and plan of just 1 per bag because we want to use these for lunches. 987, 921,
Yeehaw!
913, 921. These are the 2 trays that did not have Miracle Whip and mustard in them, which means these are going to be crumbly and fall apart. Puck ones with the Miracle Whip, I can probably put more than 1 in a bag and have them stay separate, so then 1 could be taken out and used at a time if we want to. These I think will just fall apart. So I'll get the numbers on these and we'll be right back. Each little 4-ounce serving of the tuna salad stuff without the Miracle Whip weighed 4 ounces before. Now it weighs about 1 ounce, and so it needs about 3 ounces of water back in. That's pretty close to true with these. There's only a couple of grams difference between the two, so they still need about the same amount of water. It's close enough that I can use that for my labeling, that they need about 3 ounces of water. I'm going to start with these, and so let's go print a few labels for these. I'm going to do the 12 of these separate ones in the little bags, and these are not a stand-up bag. These are some that I got that were a mixed pack. Oh, and I tried out one of the stickers that came with them. They're a 7mm bag, but they came as a flat pack without the gusseted bottom on it. But that I figured would be fine for a few items, and this is one of the items. I'll be able to just get that in there. So it'll be good for a single serving, one use kind of thing. So we're going to get those in there, and this one I'll put in a double size bag. So first we'll get these 12. Got all the information I need for a label, so let's go make a label.
This was my first set of labels from the thermal printer for the freeze-dried bags.
How's that? Then I can just cut them in half and put half of it on the bag. And this is going to be the bottom. I need to make sure I leave space at the bottom for the seal. That's not a problem. I'm glad people had told me about that they were using labels. I honestly didn't think that they would stick well to the Mylar bags. They really stick great. We'll see how they hold up long term. Okay, so that was the plan. That gives a nice 4-ounce serving. It's going to be a very flat pack because of this type of bag. I think that'll work. I was hoping that these would fit in there, but they will not. I would have to crush them. So that's not a good plan. I think I need to take this next one that I was going to do and open this up a little bit. I can just warm it up and just spread it open a little bit so that it fills that opening of the bag easier or better. Because that works very well, but it could be a little bit wider and still work. So if I open that up a little bit wider, I could get another inch out of that, and then these would slide right down. So on these, I'm using these little 100 cc oxygen absorbers for these. Okay. We'll get these sealed, and we'll kind of squish out any extra that we can. These would be a perfect example of where a vacuum sealer would do a wonderful job. And I'm still going to do these twice for that first bag to make sure that it's nice and toasty. Okay, nicely sealed and ready to go. So there's the first 10. We'll get a bunch more of them done and we'll come back. But I did forget to put the batch number. I still want the batch number on the bag just in case. I'll go ahead and add the batch number to each one. Now the ones with the Miracle Whip. And I'll be doing some of these in single bags and some of them 2 in a bag. And these still don't fit down there. Okay, so that's still, I think I need to widen this out. I'll do that later. Okay, and then this is the one with Miracle Whip. I got a big angle, but that doesn't really matter. I'm going to just add one more. Okay, these last ones are going to be 8-ounce pieces. So I'm going to use a bigger bag on these. That'll fit. Will 2 of these? Yeah, I think those will too. So I'm going to try it with the pint bags. see if we can get that pushed down in there. And of course those pieces can come apart. All right, that'll fit quite well. Did I get the right one? Yep. Yeah, because I put it on it. So there's that one. So it should be able to do those, and I think it'll work with that. We'll try this. I'm going to make them fit. Okay. Then we'll get these final sets in there. All right, and we'll get 2 of these in there. That's really close. I don't know if I can get the zipper closed. I could crush these up and not worry about keeping them as 2 little pucks, but I think I'm going to leave them like that, and I'll just seal it and not worry about the zipper. So I'm going to heat seal these above that, but I won't actually be able to close the zipper shut when it's still dry. These I can. And on these, I'm going to use the bigger 300cc, even though it's, as always, kind of overkill. I need 4 of them. Okay, now reseal this, and write on it that there's only 6. And then over the next hour or 2, that will go back to the salmon or pink color that it was before. These 2 with the crushed up ones will be able to zipper shut. Okay, this is going to be tougher because I'm going to try to seal that without zippering it shut. I don't know if I like that. Let's try it. That's terrible. Okay, I need to get that sealed better. So I'm gonna have to push them down even if it crushes them. So, and that's one of the reasons I like to seal it very high up on the bag. In case I mess it up, I can do it again. So I'm gonna hold it over the edge of the seal to help get that smooth, and then bring that down alongside my fingers. Okay, let's see how that is. Okay, so I do have a good seal down here, but that top one was bad. And so I've got the one that's right here that did work well. Okay, all right, so now I know I can't fill them that full and expect it to work. Okay, that one worked out well. I'm gonna still add one more at the very top. Those are all finished. I don't know if these are going to go on the shelves or if they're just going to be available for lunches, and we'll figure that out later. If we put them on a shelf, we'll probably add that to the video. So until the next one, thanks for watching. In the comments of the video with the labels, a viewer asked to see what the label looks like after it had been on the bag for a while and the bag had sucked down. Now, these aren't a really great test for that because these weren't overstuffed, so they really don't have a lot of shape like some of the bags do. But they are on there and they did conform real well as it shrunk down. So I think it's going to be just fine. But that's probably the worst case ones on this set because the bag is relatively flat. So it will be interesting to see how they do. Time will tell on these. So I just wanted to add that quick update on this before I finish this video out.